Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people, and Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared.
That's fair. That's fair. I like it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways that we can do better with mental health, but suicide rates are skyrocketing, and the time is definitely now in the atmosphere that the country's in, you know.
Yeah. Coming off the heels of COVID and all of the influx of information, we are overstimulated by news, social media, everything's vying for our attention. I do agree with you. I think it is fraying our souls to a degree, and it is a real thing, absolutely. And I think that what you and I are doing about it is one of the best things, easiest things too, is to have the conversation. Have the conversation like we're doing. Bring the awareness to it, and destigmatize as best as we can. You've done unbelievable work in that regard, destigmatizing mental health issues. I am profoundly grateful as a practitioner for the work that you've done on that very topic right there. Yeah. And I'm delighted to have the opportunity to join you in it by having this discussion. Absolutely.
Definitely, man. One thing that I did this year, one of the big changes I made to my life that others should do as well, I stopped being a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't say anything inappropriate to people or on social media, but for many years when I would post an opinion of mine on Facebook, if somebody reacted in disapproval or more, even if it was just an agreement, I would be embarrassed. Even if it was just a disagreement, a tiny disagreement, I would just, what I used to do was I would just amend the post to whatever people wanted, hoping to please them rather than stick with my beliefs. And because everybody has a reason for their beliefs, but this year I came to the realization that not everyone is going to like you, even if you're doing the right thing or even if you're the nicest person in the world. And so this year I stopped being a people pleaser. Like, for example, I would post on my Facebook an opinion that I have, and sometimes every now and then I would get somebody that would be like, hey, that's not true, beep, 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 cursing, swearing at me, or even trying to challenge me for my beliefs. But I just sort of ignore it now.
Good man. And I think that is one of the harder things to learn how to do. I think that for some people, we naturally mature to a place where it kind of clicks. Other people have to work really hard at it. And unfortunately, some people never figure that out. and that you have turned that corner. Man, you talk about that joy and peace we were talking about earlier. That is a huge impediment to finding joy and peace, is people pleasing and worrying and taking all of your own definition of yourself from others. We call it learning how to self-validate. And I'm thrilled that you have figured that one out, man. It is huge, isn't it?
It is huge. And a lot of people in this country, even the ones you find on social media, they don't really understand some of the time people who do good things simply because it's the right thing to do,
Yeah. Yeah. It's called altruism. A rare commodity. It's a rare commodity.
So what are your hopes for mental health awareness in the future and suicide prevention?
Yeah. So I think that the destigmatization of it is crucial. And when you called me to say, hey, would you come talk about it? There was no question. I was willing to cancel plans if I needed to. This is a huge priority for me. I think the destigmatization of it is vital. And I think that there are two kind of main components to it. I think education is a huge piece. I think we need to be talking about it in from an institutionalized direction in school. And I think colleges have been doing a much better job. I just met with Belmont University here about this. And I literally met with their mental health specialists, and it's right up the road. And then I think also broader than that, one-on-one, going out and asking people how they're doing. You and me that are, I don't know if enlightened is the right word, but you know what I mean? We're more willing and open to it. Maybe you and I just start the trend. People like us that are willing to, we go out and make the decision. The kid standing behind the counter at McDonald's who looks like he's having a really bad day. Be like, hey, buddy, you doing okay? And make it normal. If strangers can ask each other that question, that's pretty normalized. That's kind of like, hey, have a great day, and I think that those are from an institutional top-down kind of way, but then also a grassroots up way. Those are my best ideas.
You got to be careful with you got to be careful with your parents though when doing it, because they could be mad at you, and then when you ask, "Are you doing okay?" they might interpret it as an attack on them.
That's true. That's very true. What do you mean? Am I doing okay? Go to your room.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That reminds me of something that happened a while ago. Just let me remember what it was. Oh yeah, I had a funny moment with my mom the other day that I should mention, that where I was snarky with her in a way that was appropriate. And she got a laugh out of it. But basically what happened was about a couple weeks ago, she asked me to go pick her up some Scotch tape. I went on my bike and went to the nearest Walgreens in our neighborhood and picked up some Scotch tape and put it on the table for her. And I gave it to her, and she put it on the table thanking me. And a few days later, I came home to find that the Scotch tape was untouched and still on the table. So I went into Mom's room and told her, "Hey, Mom, you're not going to like me saying this to you probably, but I'm not going to pick up your roll of Scotch tape that you've left on the table untouched for a few days." And she was like, she took it well. She looked at me with a grin and said, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah, really, I'm not going to pick it up." And she said to me, "Well, then I'm not going to pick up and clean up your dish from your ground beef last night."
Yeah.
And I was like, fair enough.
That is funny. That is funny.
So that was my little reminder to her that she needed to take the tape and put it in her office where it belonged.
Yeah.
And then her telling me, "Then I need you to clean your own dish tonight."
It goes both ways. It goes both ways.
Yeah, but that's the only type of scenario I think where being snarky to a parent is fun and good.
Yeah. You got to do that with definitely got to make some wise choices on how you have those conversations. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the final thing I have for this particular episode. How can your journey impact the world?
Wow. Ooh. So, it's really interesting that you asked that question. Um, you know, I work in mental health today because of my own journey. Um, I didn't have the easiest childhood. And I think in retrospect, my parents probably did the best they could. I do believe that. I just don't think they had all the tools, and I don't know that they're really wired. They were good people, but I just don't know that they were really equipped to do it optimally.
Were you
And
were you
so
were you, just a question, were you abused as a child or
physically and emotionally and verbally, not sexually, fortunately. My dad had a big temper, and he was kind of a German Midwest male. And that's a stereotype, me being one as well. I feel comfortable making it because I've had to deal with my own anger issues.
yeah,
I'll admit that. And
yeah.
so, it was a very punitive home. Nothing was ever good enough, that kind of thing. And it really cost me a lot for a lot of years. And I hurt very, very, very deeply about it. And got to that place that you talked about where I realized, regardless of whose fault it is, it's my feelings and thoughts and behavior are my responsibility. They may have influenced, and certainly I think did, but at the end of the day, I have to if I'm going to have any kind of healing at all, it starts with me. I have to be the one to make the decision to pursue it and do the hard work. So, but one of the things my mom told me, my mom was kind of a mixed bag. She would say some encouraging things to me thematically throughout my childhood. And one of the things that she did sort of say was, Wesley, you will change the world someday. And I never knew what that meant. I think a lot of parents tell their kids that, but it sunk in. And I kind of thought, maybe that means it'll be me addressing a broad number of people, sort of one to many, if you will. But that's not how my life worked out. I don't I don't contribute one to many. I contribute one to one. Hopefully it's a contribution. I think it is. I'm very blessed. But it's interesting that how I would like to how my journey can hopefully affect the world is by being able to look someone in the eye, and when they say, Wesley, I hurt inside, I can genuinely say, I believe you. I believe the pain is real.
Yeah.
And because of my own journey, and I know the possibilities, I also believe that person has what it takes to overcome it.
That's a
That's
good way.
how I'd love to see my own journey hopefully positively impact the world.
Yeah. Just to bring something to your attention that maybe can help you when you have those feelings about your childhood abuse. You know, I've said this before. Sometimes you need to not really hold your parents totally responsible. I mean, for their actions, yes, but abuse, is a very generational thing, They
It
came from,
is.
your parents, they would have come from the time where the culture was beat your kid up,
Yep.
and they came from the time when Sean Connery said to that journalist, I don't think it's bad to slap a woman. Remember when Sean Connery was reported to have said that?
Yeah. 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 And I
It's
mean, it turns my stomach, and it turns your stomach. It turns our stomachs these days to even hear those kind of things.
and
And
yeah,
I do absolutely agree with you. I think the societal generational norms absolutely impact these things. And so while my parents were really ill equipped, I have found that freedom to be able to recognize they still probably were doing the best they knew how to do.
And they didn't have resources like what we have today, you know?
And it didn't.
You know, there was no autism, there was no bipolar, there was no ADHD, ADD, none of that. Back then, you would have been considered mentally ill if you had those things.
Yep. And when I was growing up, kids with ADHD were called spazzes. They were called literally, like, the clinical terminology was spastic. And then the colloquial ugly way to put it was, oh, you know, you're a spaz or whatever. And there was so much stigma around it. And I'll tell you this, I am profoundly grateful with the amount of progress we actually have made, as far as the stigma goes, and people are talking about it more, and are more willing to, and feel less intimidated not to. I think we have made progress, but we still have work to do. Absolutely. And this is the work. What you and I are doing right now, I've got to believe, is the work.
Definitely. That's my hope. And that's Andy McPhee's hope in this as well. And I should mention as well, when I was growing up, I got disciplined in other ways, considering that I was autistic. I was never spanked once in my life. And yet, look who I've become. You know, sometimes your kids don't need a smack on the butt. Sometimes what they need is other forms of discipline, like what I had, right. You know,
redirection is usually, not always, but usually pretty effective. So I'm with you 100%. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that probably won't believe that I was spanked or not spanked once or something. But I'm telling you, I never had a spanking for discipline purposes.
Well, that's a testament to your parents. Good on them.
Good on them. I mean, yes, I was spanked lightly for the purpose of showing love, but not for discipline. You know,
I understand. Playfully is different. That's not a spanking. That's having fun.
And I must.
That's like if I was there and I said, "Oh, you buddy of mine," and I kind of slugged you in the shoulder or something. That's just having fun. Yeah.
Or a pat on the back, as long as it's not too hard, you know, stuff like that, you know. But it's a testament to my parents, you know, and they've been very supportive of me for the most part, you know. With how independent I've grown and how I've grown up, they've pulled back some level of support, but I'm, you know, I'm doing good the way I am right now, especially with a group home living up ahead.
I love it. I love it. I think that's fantastic. Absolutely. Good.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
So I am online. My professional website is franklinpsychiatric.com, all one word. That's probably the best way to find me. I have all my contact information there. My professional clinic website is mainly targeting prospective patients, but I mean, I live, in my email, unfortunately, like we all do. And so if anybody has any other questions or comments or advice, even, I don't have all the answers, man. I'm just trying to figure it out like the rest of us, at the end of the day. I still need help, put it that way. That would be, www.franklinpsychiatric.com is probably the easiest, most concise way. I'm a little bit of a geezer. I'm not a master of the social media, but the more of it there is, the happier I am. Maybe I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I should mention that if Andy McPhee were on here, my normal part-time co-host and the co-founder of the channel, if he were here, he would say to you, "You're not as big a geezer as I am." Because he's in his 70s,
That is true. He's got me beat there. That is true. I can't argue.
He'll probably be jealous of you,
Well, I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all we have for now, but we thank you for coming on. And down the road, would you like to appear on again? Maybe this time with Andy if he's available?
Anytime. You let me know, and I will prioritize it. This is delightful. And again, I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you very much. We were grateful that you made the time to come on. So, yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
No problem. So, everybody, Please check out Wesley on his website. Check out all my footage from the Music City Grand Prix, the Trans Am race, the IndyCar race, Stadium Super Trucks, both the Stadium Super Trucks races, which you can find in videos down the line from 2021. And we'll see you next week for the next episode of RNU. And please hit like and subscribe.
That's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune in to the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia, saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Chee.